So unless anybody thinks we need to wait, I think we're ready to go ahead and get started. So any delays? None? Okay.
I guess as long as we have a quorum, if we want to vote on something, we're fine.
We have to vote on the minutes. That's it.
Oh.
Actually, we don't even have to vote on that. You can't not approve the minutes. So, all right, then a quorum being present, this meeting of Special Service Area 61, the commission is called to order, and as required by city direction, pursuant to the applicable law and my determination that attendance by remote means is necessary because an in-person meeting is not practical nor prudent due to the declared public health disaster caused by COVID-19, this meeting is conducted via video conference. Also, please note that under direction from the City of Chicago Department of Planning and Development, this meeting is being recorded and will be made available on our website shortly after the meeting. I believe that's at the downtownhydepark.com website. So you're all being recorded for posterity and released to the public. So our first order of business is approval of the minutes from April. And there are actually 3 sets of minutes. We had 3 meetings. There was the commissioners meeting. There was the preliminary meeting to approve the audit, in which we discovered some problems with the audit. So then we had the follow-up meeting to approve the audit. The same evening, the other audit meeting. So let's take those one at a time. The first options to review and comment on the minutes would be for our actual commissioners meeting on Tuesday, April 27th. Did anyone have corrections or revisions to those minutes? Okay, then there being none, those minutes are accepted as circulated. Thank you very much, Ramon. The second set of minutes is the addendum, the one marked addendum, and the first half is for the morning meeting on Monday, May 10, that had the sole purpose of voting to approve the audit. However, upon examination, we discovered some problems with the audit and decided we could not approve an audit that had errors in it. So we returned it to the auditors for correction and asked them to get it back to us by 5 o'clock of that same day. Any revisions to the addendum, first set of minutes? Yeah, just make sure that you're all recorded accurate. I think it's correct that everyone who attended was there. I appreciate that. The second audit approval meeting was that evening at 7 o'clock after the auditors had made their corrections to the minutes. And it was almost fully attended. We polled the commissioners and there was a unanimous yes vote with an individual roll call. Any revisions to those final minutes? There being none, then all the minutes for the last 3 meetings from April 27 and May 10th are accepted as circulated. Thank you very much, Raymond. We appreciate it. Thank you. Next item in business then is first, before we get to Isaac and the financial report, is if there are questions. This is a change, remember, in our schedule. The city is now directing us to take questions and comments from guests up front before we start the business of the agenda. So if there's anyone who would like to bring up comments, raise questions, make statements or announcements for the commission, this is your opportunity. Please remember a 3-minute limit. We are sort of keeping my eye on the clock. So is there anything that any of our guests would like to bring up or discuss this morning before we get to the main agenda?
George, I have a quick question.
Yes, not Jane. Carol,
I'm Carol. We spoke to Raymond yesterday regarding the TIF application, and Raymond sent us the link. When I don't exactly know where the application resides on that link on that web page, and when I did fish around with it, some of the pages were deleted, and it's from the 2016 timeframe. So I would like to know where to get the application for the TIF money.
This is the SBIF fund, the SBIF fund that comes through the TIF.
Yes.
Jane, we will follow up with you. I'm going to make a note right now.
Okay.
Carol.
Things go through our office, come through me, because I handle a lot of our one-on-one business consultations. So I'm going to make a note and you and I need to speak, okay?
Okay. Thank you very much, Diane.
Yep. Thank you, Carol.
Thank you. That's it.
Anyone else? Then in that case, we're ready to move to our standard agenda, which is a report on the financials with the budget tracker. So Brandon, want to take it over?
Yep, Mr. Green is on the line and he has access. I believe that's who's sharing.
All righty. Good morning, everyone. Pray everyone is doing well and safe. As of April 30th, total cash in bank is at 166 compared to 136. This time last year, the SSA had made a big one-time payment, but since they're making their payments a little bit more regularly, you didn't have that big payment during the first 4 months of the year. So total assets with your cash and your receivables at 447,000.
Can you speak up a little bit, Isaac?
Total cash and receivables come to 447,580 compared to 417,934. Liabilities and net assets, accounts payables at 7,300, deferred revenues at 280, and due to SECC is of 13,000. So Remind has made that payment, so that will go down in your May financials. So your total liabilities is at 300,407 compared to 333,000 in 2020. Net assets, temporary restricted is at 63,000. Net surplus, that's revenues less expenses of 83. So total net assets at 147. So your net assets plus your liabilities come to 447,580. Any questions on your statement of financial position before we move to your budget versus actual?
Yeah, could you just review that due to SECC? We talked about this in the finance committee, but just so all the commissioners understand, that amount has been paid?
Yeah, for Raymond paid that, I gave it that number, so that should have been paid in the month of May. So that'll go away, that'll go down when you see your May financials.
Good. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, Isaac.
Okay, budget versus actual. So thus far for the first 4 months, we've received 125,000 for the first 4 months compared to a total budget of 438,000. Within that total budget, it also includes, I believe it's 40 to 60,000 of carryover from last year. So that's why that number is a little bit higher than a normal. I think it's right around 370,000. Expenses are in category 1.1. 1.0 is at $10,564 in customer attractions compared to a total budget of 19,000. So you're right on track there. Public way aesthetics, you had 10,000 compared to 25,000 for a total budget. Management, you had 5,633 compared to a total budget of 14,821. Personnel, you had 15,698 compared to a total budget of 47,000. Total expenses at 42,000 compared to a total budget of 106. And so your total net operating expenses, revenues and less expenses, is 83,046. We know with the SSA, this is just normal spending patterns, is that majority of your activity is going to really pick up as you head into the summer months, which are some activities because we have the vaccine, because things are improving. Now the SSA will be able to resume its normal activity. So during the months of June, July, and August, I anticipate that spending to go up, unlike last year where everything was pretty static.
Sure hope it goes up.
Well, let's hope the trend stays as it's doing, going in the right direction.
Yes.
And
Yes.
we have no more surprises.
Questions about our financial report? Let me state again our appreciation to the Finance Committee, which always takes time the week before this meeting to review these reports, to meet with Isaac and Brandon and go over everything to make sure that we understand as well as we're able where the commission stands and our finances are. So it looks like we're in good shape. We just want to get back into position to start spending money. So questions for Isaac? Brandon, would you like to do a quick review of the budget tracker, just so we can see where we are?
Sure thing. Give me 1 second. All right. So can everyone see this? A little more.
Yeah, a little bigger. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. So very similar, and I was just going through to what Isaac reported. This just breaks down what we're looking at in the budget and actual on a monthly basis. So at this point, the year we've spent in 1.01 customer attraction at 10,561. In public way aesthetics, everything has been garbage remediation so far. So 10,477 there. We anticipate that we will see our planters going in this month from Clarence David. So that'll be happening, and we'll see that coming out of landscaping probably in our June or May or June financials, as well as there is an RFP that has been let for washing as well. So that is another anticipated item that we anticipate seeing. Just going through again, this is pretty much on track. I'll pull these numbers directly from our financials that we get. So you can see where it breaks down in the management portion, that 5,634. And then personnel expense here at 15,696 for that total of 42,368 that has been spent so far. And there's a $2 difference, but that is a function of the rounding on the on the different Excel spreadsheets.
So our total expenditures to date are 15.5% of what we have projected. So we have a lot of spending to do since we're almost halfway through the year, and we only have spent 15% of our revenue. But that will, as Brandon points out, that will change a lot when the bill comes in for the plant hangers and for the power washing, which we did check does include the viaducts.
Yes.
Twice, right?
That is correct.
This year. Mary?
So I have a question. If we did not spend the money on power washing, who did the power washing under the viaducts?
That didn't occur last year.
No, it happened just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that might have been out of the
Probably CDOT or IDOT, because
okay.
if you guys remember, like last month or the month before, I'd been working with Fifth Ward and talking with them about what we needed to do to get extra help with the viaducts. So I think they probably put in the work order.
Okay, great. And that that car part has disappeared as well.
Let's face it, the viaducts need all the attention we can give them. So if they get washed 3 or 4 times rather than twice, that's all for the betterment of us all. More questions about where we stand with our budget? I asked Brandon to complete the financial report by giving us just a final update on the audit, the submission that it has gone into the city. So Brandon.
Yep, and I'm going to bring up here just for everyone's clarity. This was the portion in the meetings that we had while wrapping up the audit that caused some concern for us that we had to go back on. There was some, just kind of boilerplate language misuse that happened with our auditor. We were able to handle it that day. This is the final document that has been submitted. This is on the city's SharePoint site, and things have been corrected. This is page 10. This was what gave us all the issue, but as you can see, the corrections have been made. We have been clearly positioned with the SSA 61 as the SSA and our service provider being the Southeast Chicago Commission. So those things were corrected, and there was a conversation that was had with myself and the auditor about those particular issues, and just very directly and very candidly, don't anticipate seeing anything like that going forward.
We hope not. They should know who the service provider is at this stage of the ball game, having done audits now for a few years. But it's done, it's gone in. And of course, what immediately comes after the audit is the budget for the upcoming year. So I asked Brandon and Diane to try to get the budget into a presentable shape so that they could present it at today's meeting. We do not vote on it until next month's meeting, but I thought it'd be wise to make sure that all the commissioners had it well in advance so that you can actually think about it, study it, and make decisions about how we should be allocating money. So Brandon, would you like to do our budget preview?
Yep, let me bring this up here. All right, so this is the budget summary sheet. This is, again, to George's point, kind of a kind of rough first attempt at getting a budget for 2022 set up for us. So the breakdown is, you'll see some similar things: customer attraction at 79,000, public way aesthetics at 96, sustainability and public places at 20, economic development at 5 with the carryover. So this is a portion of what funds we carried over into this year that we will not spend this year, because we only budgeted for right around 40,000 to be carried over this year into 2021. So this would be additional carryover funds that we would ideally position for reconstitution. That's why they were placed in the economic and business development. And I'll show that as it goes into the details on the different sheets. Public health and safety, this includes some security for like our holiday activations. And then SSA management and personnel are pretty similar to where they stand currently in the budget. So total number that we came for at levy. Now, again, we don't get our official EAV until around June, usually this year, which will give us the exact number of what our levy will be for next year. So per the direction of DPD, we use our current levy number. So that plus the $20,000 in carryover gives a total of $297,741. This $277,741 is over our current levy amount, but I to account that there were some different projects that we wanted to look at, particularly some landscaping projects on 53rd. I know that George has spoken about, as well as, again, having those carryover funds to use for that. So that was the logic here. Customer attraction breaks down, proposed customer attraction breaks down as such. Of course, website, we've got district marketing, special events, our social media management number. Banners, I anticipate doing probably another run. We were able to save a pretty good amount of money last year by not completely replacing all banners, but just replacing those that were torn or misplaced in the footprint. I anticipate with some of the new branding initiatives, farmers market, different programming coming back, we will probably do a full run on the banners again. So that I positioned at 13,000. Print materials, brand placement, I anticipate going back up to everyone's point with the expectation that there will be more activity in the footprint and more business support. And this year we can add into it the farmers market as well. So that is back. Excited about that. So we've positioned 7,500 for the market this year. Public way aesthetic, this breaks down very similar to what we've seen. Anticipation for landscaping, which includes, of course, our planters. Kept in the facade enhancement. General kind of add in for potential garbage can replacement if need be in the footprint. Power washing left at around 26, 27 in case that were to change or go up. And garbage remediation, we anticipate being generally the same that we've seen in the past 2 years, which is right around 32,000. So that's that number there for a total, again, that 96,054 is what we've had for public way aesthetics, I should say. Sustainability in public way, viaduct improvements, bike racks, and park improvements. This includes potential funds to Nichols Park. Again, we're looking at some carryover that we're able to use and positioning that for some of those landscaping initiatives that we've kind of gotten feedback on that might do well in the footprint. Looking at, again, as we are going to be reconstituting in 2023, economic or expansion and recertification for SSA 2061, 5,000 here with that additional 20 for carryover. There's been some preliminary conversation about what we anticipate the number being. Diane and I still will be meeting with whoever we contract with for reconstitution, as well as George. And we don't have a specific number yet, but we're anticipating that it should be right in that area. So that's where these funds will go, and those are those carryover funds. So the total of about 25,000 for reconstitution. Safety program, again, looking at numbers for holiday activation. Potentially one of the biggest costs is that security for Halloween. And management is kind of anticipated to be what we've spent in the past. And I'm sorry, I kind of went through that quickly. Are there any questions as I'm speaking through those for any of the areas? All right. So you guys all have a copy of this. This was shared with you with the materials that have gone out. The anticipation, Diane and I spoke through this. We're looking to have a draft edited and completed by the 4th of June. That is a first draft of this. The final draft is not due until the end of the month. So by June 2nd at our next SSA meeting, we can approve an official 2022 budget draft. So that is our plan, and we can have that submitted to the city per their timeline request.
But think about these categories and amounts carefully as commissioners to see if there are places you think we can improve what we're doing. We have that carryover budget. We have money that we can figure out how we want to spend. And if there are things that we aren't thinking about, then send me an email and I'll add it to Brandon and Diane's wish list, work list. For example, one of the things that crossed my mind this morning when I was reviewing the budget is there was a category called public art. And although I don't want to get into art and the parks and that sort of stuff, I do have a question that will need to be run by the alderman before anything would be done about it. But when you look at the viaducts at 53rd and 55th, one of the things that was done about a decade ago to make them nicer was there were these framed, they refer to them as curtains. They're sort of these metal sheets that have photographs on them and reproductions of artwork. Margaret Burroughs is along 55th Street. Some of these very industrial pictures are along the 53rd Street, the steel mills in Gary and that kind of stuff. Those were supposed to have been swapped out every 5 to 7 years when they were initially put up. They were paid for by the TIF. Think about it, it was probably more like 15 years ago. They were put up originally by the TIF. They had been there for 15 years or longer. They're beginning to show the signs of wear, of constant graffiti removal and all that kind of stuff. They're awfully dark and dour. They're not cheerful or light, or they don't do much to reflect Hyde Park in any way. So, one of the things I'd like to bring up in our discussions with the alderman is finding ways to replace that artwork. Last time we did it in conjunction with the Hyde Park Arts Center. And so maybe finding some fresh artwork to put up there that it's not a big expense because the frames that they're hanging on are metal. You just reuse the same curtains again and again, and then just plaster over them with a new artwork. It becomes a matter of deciding who's going to pick the art. But ideas like that we can at least talk about, we can throw out. We may not be able to act on it, but it's one of those things that when I look at the budget, it occurred to me, gee, maybe we could stimulate some thought going into that. We want to improve the viaducts. This is one way. And we know for sure CDOT and Streets and Sand and the train companies are not going to touch what's on the walls. They don't care about the walls and will not spend a penny on what's hanging or on the artwork. That's a pure community issue. And I'm not talking about the murals or anything. That's a different concern. These are those metal frames, metal curtains that are hanging. So think about things like that. And if you have ideas or comments, send them to me, send them to Diane and Brandon, so that we can discuss them in the finance committee and take them if necessary to our alderman, and then see where we go from there. Thank you, Brandon. That's very helpful. It'll be interesting to see how we do with our budget. No other questions? Please, Charles.
Yes, just a little understanding in terms of TIF. Are we looking to get TIF funds, or the TIF is going to be funds are going to be spent by the TIF themselves and not shared with the SSA, and we just work in conjunction with the TIF?
My understanding is a little of both. That we are trying to figure out, there's been a steady stream of emails about how, when we reconstitute the SSA, we can rewrite our ordinance so that going forward, we do receive our appropriate TIF funding that we should have been getting all along. We're not currently talking about the past years, although that's not off the back burner yet. But in conjunction with that, we're also being very supportive of the TIF spending the money. Because if you look at what they're talking about spending money on, it's our agenda. You know, it's the stuff that we've been talking about for 2 years, and it's stuff that we want to see done. And so, in some sense, it seems to me I don't care if the money comes from us or comes from the TIF. And since they have a lot more of it than we have, as long as it gets done, I'm happy.
I agree. Thank you.
More questions about the financials and budget preview? All right, then our next item on the agenda is program updates, and there's a series of those, starting with our RFPs. So Brandon?
Very quickly, just wanted to give you guys an update to let you know that these particular RFPs have been let, everyone excluding the website, and that's the one that we've put towards the middle of the year. We wanted to get farmers market going, but we've gotten spring florals is confirmed, and again, as mentioned, should be new planters should be going in mid-May. Last I spoke with the contractor on that, that was the date that they gave us. Power washing is currently listed on our website. We are accepting submissions for that RFP currently. And again, the website is the one that we are looking at probably June, July, as you know, the time frame for when we would let that one. So I know that there's been a lot of conversation in the past about kind of rebranding and just kind of restructuring the website. And I've had some preliminary conversation with Diane and the internal team here around that. So excited about that as well. To move on and give a quick update on the farmers market, we are moving full steam ahead. As you guys, I hopefully all know, the Hyde Park Farmers Market will be starting on June 13th, Sunday, June 13th, sorry. And we'll be having a ribbon cutting at 10 o'clock. And we will hopefully see all of you there, socially distanced appropriately, but still participating and hopefully, if we've got some good weather, enjoying the market. We've got a number of vendors that are confirmed. We are in the payment process with getting them all on board, as well as we do have a market manager that has been hired. And we are very excited about working with Ms. Tessina Williams, who will be in that role. So yes, farmers market is returning back.
Could you name a couple of the vendors?
Yes, we've got a few that are coming from actually some, did I say June 14th? No, Ms. Hill, I'm sorry, June 13th, that Sunday. I know we've got Taylor's Tacos, who has been a staple in the Hyde Park Farmers Market in the past. They're back. We've got, I want to say, Danny's Beats. We've got, I think they're a juice company. We have Soap Junkie, who actually is a local vendor who I've worked with at my time with Sunshine Enterprises. I'm a trainer for their Community Business Academy. We've also got Sage Vegan Meals, which will be coming a little bit later in the summer, but is a vegan meal purveyor. Who else we got, Joe? You put me on the spot here.
We have 2 farms. We have good old Lions Farm. They're the
Lions
only
Farms, yes.
Farm, good.
They're the only out-of-state farmer that we're using. Everyone else is in-state or Cook County.
Yep.
Or
6
local
Generations is the other farm.
generations.
So we've kind of done some preliminary programming with having like
And we have the coffee vendor.
the big end.
They've been with us before.
Yep.
We will be sending out a full list of vendors, errands. Once they're all paid and confirmed, we're going to actually have a marketing piece. So we will get that to you.
Brandon, is there still opportunity for additional vendors, or are you pretty much subscribed for the season?
For the wait list, Ms. Marks, yeah.
Okay,
We are full with the initial run of vendors that we're going to use.
got it.
Yes, but we will take referrals because we are requiring vendors to prepay this year instead of paying weekly because we wanted to cut down on all of those transactions. So we will, because in the event that someone's not confirmed, we will fill that slot. So please send them our way.
Okay, that sounds great. Thank you.
Oh, and one more thing, that programmatic, not to bandwagon Brandon, but also
You're good.
banners is another expense that'll be happening. We're going to be replacing some that are tattered. We also have the Art Institute is going to be using a couple polls for the next few months to highlight the upcoming Obama portraits at the Art Institute, which is really exciting. So we want to be good community partners with that. And also some other banners, like the banner on the side of Aloy's will be getting swapped out. We're gonna put a new banner. We've been approved on the awning of Hyde Park Bank. So we got some other marketing coming through SSA funds in the next month.
Great. That's good news.
I just want to say real quick, because just to be clear, we have moved locations. So traditionally, market was in the L of Harper Court. We have moved behind to the parking lot of the Hyde Park Bank building. So big shout out to our partners. Mr. Thompson, thank you so much for the connections to all of those folks that have been extremely helpful. Eric and Debbie have, I want to say Debbie, but Donna, yes, sorry about that.
I won't tell her.
Extremely helpful. Thank you very much. And just logistically helping us get things rolling with that process. So
You're good.
Officially behind the Hyde Park Bank building, right off of Old Lake Park and 54th.
Hope everyone will be there on the 13th. All right, so then that takes us to the next program update, which is the 4th on 53rd. We were talking during the Finance Committee in our last meeting about funding for it. And I thought, well, you know, it'd probably be good to bring everybody up to date on where the 4th on 53rd actually stands this year. So I invited David White to join us this morning, who's on Nichols Park Advisory Council and seems to be the one running 4th on 53rd, although I'm sure he will not like me saying that. So Dave, you want to take over and tell us where we're standing with the 4th?
Sure. And thanks for the opportunity and the time, everybody. As you know, coming out of the pandemic, a lot of restrictions are still in place. And as a consequence, we couldn't hold the parade again this year. However, we are having the same time footprint from 11 to 4 p.m. on the 4th, activities in Nichols Park that are family oriented. And you will recognize many of the same activities from previous years. And we're actually trying to develop a few more. The reason for this is that we can't have bouncy houses. Those are still off the list. And the petting zoo is also verboten. So we are trying to develop and integrate new activities, and also to conduct this with safety in mind, although we're greatly heartened by the continued progress with the lowering of the infectivity rates, and the pandemic seems to be waning. But we're going to spread the activities out through the length of or use more of Nichols Park footprint than typical. And also we're going to try to have people come throughout the entire time period instead of all at once. You know, typically the parade ends and you've got several thousand people at once in Nichols Park. We're hoping people will come and go throughout the time period so that we never have the sort of bunching we have on a typical 4th. We have many of the usual suspects have returned to help us put all this on. And there are still some big question marks over this. As I mentioned, we look, with, we are encouraged, but still pensive about the direction of the pandemic and how much the Park District will let us do. We asked for a permit for 300 people. They have not yet granted that number. And although we think it's going our way, there are little signs that things are going to be okay with as far as that crowd size. For instance, the fountains are coming back on after, hiatus last year. And we are planning to have mainly games for children, but as things improve, we've been contemplating having 2 of our traditional bands return that we've always had on the 4th. So it should be a somewhat more muted, but still a grand time for Hyde Park families. We kind of done some testing of the sentiment with this through the Parent Support Network, and the general reaction was that people are enthusiastic and waiting for something like this to happen. We're very grateful for the funding support from the SSA. We've been trying Fundraising this year is complicated because many of our traditional supporters have had a very rough time during the pandemic. And so it's great to have some that can stand up a little taller this year, and so that others don't have to. We haven't rolled out updates of our social media because we are just kind of waiting until we can have a few more things nailed down, as in, will we have bands or not? There's some interest in having the pony rides back, but again, the park district probably won't permit that. So we are kind of dancing along the edge. And we started planning this a month ago. And at that time, it seemed such a high-risk endeavor to even attempt to plan this. And now the feedback we're getting is that maybe we aimed too small. So how things change.
It's a difficult transition to ease back into reality. And so we all take it one step at a time. Dave, has any thought been given yet? It may be too early for this, but for the concert series in the park?
I would love to bring back some concert series. This was part of us aiming a little too low. We thought this would be difficult to get through the city, and the fundraising definitely didn't account for the concert series. But I've been pleading with some of the people who've been involved in that to at least bring back some of it for later in the summer, perhaps the second half of August, part of September. But that would be another substantial effort on our part to get that back.
Gary?
Dave, the city has had some funding for concerts, for outdoor concerts. Can we take advantage of any of that?
Yes, that's for 2022. And we would love to take advantage of that going forward, because I think the concert series is a diamond in the rough. And it's one of these events that I think could really continue to grow and contribute to civic and street life in Hyde Park. And so, I feel that we kind of missed an opportunity in our initial planning stage. But we were, believe me, we were still in the bunker just a month ago, wondering, what was going to happen this year. And so we're moving ahead with our day of plans, and I'd be happy to discuss with any of you what we could do to revive the concerts.
Because there might still be funding available for this year.
I would love to hear about that. I mean, I can have George circulate my email. That would be fantastic.
Okay.
Charles?
Yes, David, do we have a problem between a rock and a hard place in terms of how big can we make it?
Yes.
That's the problem, right? I mean, you prepare for a big crowd, then you find out you can't do it. So you don't really know, everything's like short notice.
Unprecedented uncertainty is how we frame it. My feeling is that they're permitting other events elsewhere, and we think the size is of, 500 is a magic number in Park District permitting, and we're below that. So we think that even with people picnicking on the 4th, we'll still be within the 500 people in the park at one time rubric. So hope springs eternal. I'm looking forward to a great afternoon on the 4th. And this is the other reason we're kind of hesitant to publicize it, is we don't necessarily want too many people. I hate to say this, but we kind of want to wait to see what happens first week of June. In theory, they could be lifting all pandemic restrictions by the second week of June in the state, which would have it. Then I think you would be hearing us be out shouting from the rooftops. But it's still a wait and see. It's kind of a very interesting thing.
It is. It's all about growth, whether we can continue to grow and not do a step back.
Oh, I absolutely. And when I see these bunches of kids, I keep wondering, on Friday night, the first warm night, I'm thinking, oh boy, I hope they got their shots.
Right. Okay.
More questions? Dave, thanks very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate
And
it.
thanks again for your support. It's very enabling for us to have, the Hyde Park community and its merchants at our back again. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you, Dave.
you've already thanked me by getting that great big pile of mulch that's sitting at the north end of Nichols Park for the gardens. So,
Well, if I can toot the Nichols Park horn just a little bit, we had an absolutely amazing park cleanup day this last Saturday morning, and it was phenomenal. The diversity and number of people who came out and to take care of this park. And we just got our neighborhood enhancement grant from the SECC. Yes, thank you very much. So let the flowers grow.
great.
Hey, and for the record, those aren't published yet, but we are awarding 8 projects this summer, and the press release is going to be coming out soon. So I guess you all got a sneak peek of
Yes,
one
sorry.
of the 8 projects we will be funding this summer.
Sorry if I let the cat out of the bag, Diane.
Bad. Thanks
Well,
again, Dave.
we always say in the community, herding cats is our
Right.
specialty.
Right.
I actually
you.
have one additional item to add to our program updates agenda that is not on the circulated agenda. It occurred to me that we should probably announce the first meeting of the SSA program subcommittee. That's going to be, I think it is June 1st. That's going to be chaired by Mary. So Mary or Diane, would y'all like to tell everyone about it?
I'm going to let Diane tell about it because it was a surprise to me that I'm the chair.
Well, co-chair with me, I guess. Because it's the brainchild of me. Some of you may know I have a background in program. I've been working in nonprofit for over 20 years, and I started out in program. So that's one of my strengths. And something that works really well with SECC is that we have committees of the board. So that way people can get engaged that have time on maybe an additional level, whether it's direct involvement or oversight or ideas, planning. So we decided as a group that we wanted to form a program committee, and Mary was like, I want to do this. So far it's me and Mary and Brandon as time allows. And so we're hoping that if there's other people like Charles, who's interested in doing programming, like on the west end of 53rd, or if there's someone else from this group, maybe James over on 55th wants to get involved. So that way we can start to have some synergy in what we do. So this is just our next step of developing the SSA, is building our relationships and getting deeper in the work we do and connecting people who have the extra time to help support it.
I thought I heard Greg volunteer at the last meeting.
Well, he's not here, so maybe that's, you know what they say, if people aren't here, you get signed up. Like I noticed Wendy's not on the call.
So the committee meets when?
I think we set it to like the second or first.
Tuesday at 10 o'clock on Zoom.
Yes.
So anyone who would like to join the committee, please just drop an email to Mary or Diane. So you get added to the Zoom list. And then
I think we sent it out to we sent it out to everybody, and we are looking at repeating it monthly, the first Tuesday of the month at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yep.
Okay.
And so it's just helping provide another level of oversight and involvement. So when we're looking at doing new programs or ideas or spending, people are giving their input in a different way. So.
Excellent. Thank you both. We appreciate it. That essentially completes the agenda that has been circulated for this morning's meeting. At this point, we would open the meeting to comments or questions from any of the commissioners. So is there anything that any of the commissioners would like to bring up or discuss? I just wanted to add a thank you to our alderman for the meeting that we had last week. I know a lot of you were in attendance there. This was in discussion of the TIF funding. and just, the history of TIF and SPIF and how it would be going forward. And I thought it was a very informative meeting, and I was pleased to see that it was well attended, and I'm looking forward to our next one, which hopefully will be sooner rather than later. If there's nothing else, then I suppose that we are ready to adjourn. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, June 22nd at 11 o'clock. I think that one will still be via Zoom for the time being. And if there's no further business and no objection, then this meeting will be adjourned. Thank you all for coming out this morning. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Be safe.
Thanks, Mr. Newsom. You
Thank
too.
you.
Bye-bye.
you,
Thank you,
Commissioners. Thank
everyone.
Mary.
For a second.
Thanks. Carol, just call me at the office.
Okay, thank you.